Hello, my name is Joseph Barajas. I am a fourth year at Cal Poly Pomona, and I'm going to present my family tree and how my upbringing essentially ties our lecture and the Newell's model. So this is the theory in itself. So what we're looking at here is the Newell's model, which is almost sort of formula that guides an individual on identifying developmental factors that may affect movement. Granted, the model is constructed for each individual and their own limitations or constraints. For example, the constraints that may limit me may not limit somebody else, such as individual constraints that could be height, weight, strengths, physical makeup issues that includes terms such as body scaling, such as how would I have to change my approach in order to complete the given task as opposed to somebody else that may be different in terms of the individual? And also task, meaning objectives such as sports that require catching or scoring a goal, and environment. How does the area around the individual affect them? So this is my dad, and these are my brothers, and the two of these little ones are not related. And so, so my dad's upbringing consisted of playing high school varsity football, serving in the military, he practiced jiu-jitsu, and he works in healthcare as a registered nurse. I would say that my dad had the most influence on me regarding who I looked up to and what I wanted to be when I grew up. There were some things that did rub off on me, but some things that didn't. For example, if you're gonna draw like a straight line across like all of our heads, they would all line up because we're all the same height. And on the other hand, like my dad was successful in football, but encouraged I did wrestling because of his jiu-jitsu background. I tried football and I was unsuccessful, but I was more successful in wrestling. But I'll dive into that further as we keep going. And so this is my mom. My mom's upbringing did include a varsity sport, although I didn't like do swim. I did want to reach a varsity level. My mom was also a registered nurse, and she still one, and she became one before my dad did, and she even achieved a master's degree in nursing. And so here is myself. As I mentioned before, my name is Joseph, and I did high school wrestling, and I am finishing school in order to do like more school later on to pursue a career in healthcare. And in my free time, I like to stay active and lift heavy weights. I feel that my upbringing has led to me being stronger and having an advantage in picking up heavy weights off the floor, as well as being motivated to pursue healthcare. So here I'm going to refer back to the Newell's model. And so the environment I grew up in and how it influenced me. I attempted football because my dad did it before me and I thought I wanted to do like the same, but I was unsuccessful. The biggest constraint in that environment was that there are bigger individuals and the nature of catching the ball while having like butterfingers, and also had to avoid being tackled or taking the ball from end zone to end zone. While on the other hand, on a sport where I was more successful in and I was more had more of an advantage was the environment on the mat where you only have to compete in a given area while only having to tackle only one opponent and the game didn't involve a ball. And so another addition to like my environment was and how it affected me was that I grew up in a household that included parents being healthcare providers, and so evidently this would affect me when to pursue a career in healthcare. And so the task. These two sports have their similarities, but what makes them different is their task. For example, the task for football is to carry the ball from end zone to end zone and tackle the player with the ball. The task for wrestling is to just take down your other opponent and pin them to the floor. The limiters that would affect me would be like the tasks that'd be based off like the individual height. For instance, I think like if this guy was to try to tackle somebody with the ball, I think he would have a harder time as opposed to say like this guy trying to tackle somebody else with the ball, let alone trying to catch the ball. Meanwhile, the wrestler on the left here would have an easier time grabbing a low single leg as opposed to probably trying to catch a football to guys that are bigger than him, you know. And so that's essentially like my situation. And yeah, I just felt that wrestling for me was easier based off like my height. So the individual. So my maximum height at least is 5'8", and it's for my family because it's genetic. Compared to other individuals in different sport, this can be an advantage or a limiter. For example, playing sports such as football or basketball was difficult for me as opposed to somebody who may be 6'2" and maybe weighed more than 200 pounds. However, I felt I had an advantage such as wrestling because of being able to tackle at a low angle for being like lower to the floor as opposed to lifting weights, or I'm sorry, or lifting weights because of the less range of motion as opposed to somebody who may be taller. So therefore, like based off like my family tree, the outcome between like my parents, I'm 5'8". I became a varsity wrestler, and I'm currently pursuing a career in healthcare. And that's it. Thank you.